Together, a show that covers all aspects of life, relationship, and success. And I'm your host, Dr. Anna Elton. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Melina Thomas. I met Melina back in 2023, I think, through pageantry. She's amazing. Now she's a mom. Congratulations, Melina. And she's also a public speaker. She's a former actress, pageant queen, author, content creator, and founder of Be the First movement. Welcome, Melina. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Anna, for having me. Since I've met you, you have been just so inspirational and you do so many things for so many people and you're always willing to share your knowledge. So I just appreciate you asking me to share a little bit of mine.
Absolutely. Well, I know you for a few years now, right? And when I met you, you just got married, right? And now you're a mom. I would love for you to. Okay, I guess I need to speak up. So I would love for you to share your experience as a mom. Is there something that you never expected? Is there something that you learned? You kind of like, wow. And I'm sure you will do this again, over and over again, right? Even with all the challenges.
Yeah, so there was a lot that happened. I did not have an easy pregnancy. I was diagnosed with placenta previa at 20 weeks. So for those who don't know, that means that my placenta was blocking my baby from the birth canal. So immediately at 20 weeks, I was put on bed rest. I was high risk because any bleeding and too much movement could have me go into early labor. And of course, we did not want that. That also led me to have some kidney stones. I was in and out of the hospital. I had some spotting and bleeding. So I was really stressed because this was my first pregnancy. This was my first everything. And to be honest, I had a lot of friends that were pregnant around the same time, and nobody was experiencing what I was experiencing. A lot of my friends had great pregnancies. Some would even say easy pregnancies. And there I was struggling so much. And I felt like I was doing everything right. I was eating healthy. I had done everything like a year in advance. I was prepping, I was married. I was like, why is all these things happening? And during my pregnancy, between you and me, I really wanted my placenta to move. The placenta does move. And I prayed and prayed for my placenta to move. And we kept doing the checkups and the visitations. And right at about 38 weeks, they said, hey, your placenta has not moved and you're starting to look like you're going into labor. So we need to have a C-section. And me personally, I was looking forward to having a natural birth. I know that sounds crazy, especially nowadays. A lot of people don't really want to have natural birth and they're really open to epidural, and everybody should be able to make that decision for themselves. But me personally, I really wanted to have a natural birth. And I was really excited to experience what Mary experienced when she gave birth to Jesus. I just was so intrigued by that. And that wasn't my story. And so when I was told that Monday that I was not able to give birth naturally, I went in on Wednesday and had that C-section. So I had 48 hours to kind of come to the conclusion that the pregnancy and birth was not going to be what I wanted. And during that whole time, I could have gone in a dark place. I could have complained. I could have blamed God. And early on in my pregnancy, my midwife said something to me that was really important. She told me, just because this doesn't look the way you want doesn't mean that God is not good. And I believe she said that to me at the perfect time, because sometimes when things don't go our way, we feel like maybe we did something wrong, or that God is punishing us, or that God doesn't love us. But that can't be further from the truth, because with all of that, he was protecting me and he protected my son. My son was born, he was healthy, and I had the support that I needed to take care of him in the most vulnerable time of my life. I had never felt so much pain. My husband was phenomenal. He carried me literally out of bed into the shower, would help me bathe, would give me my baby. He was around the clock, like my superhero. And I know that he was God in that moment, and my mom would come and she would help do the dishes, and my mother-in-law would come and she would come and mop the floors, and my sister-in-law would come. And it was just, I was surrounded by love and I had what I needed. And for me, I knew that was a privilege, that not a lot of women have that. So I was able to feel supported immediately after that. And everyone knew that I was disappointed that I had to have a C-section. So they were also kind and gentle with that. And then afterward, I had a harder recovery because I had a C-section, and I had all of my other friends that gave birth naturally, or they had their children. They were up and going pretty quickly after they gave birth, and for me, it took me a long time. And honestly, I was on even pain medications for longer, a little over 2 weeks, because I just was in so much pain. I had never even sprained an ankle.
Mhm.
So imagine having, complete surgery, cut through layers of skin and muscle and all of those things. My body just didn't deal with the pain well. And I was scared that I was going to be addicted to these pain medications, but that thankfully did not happen. So this whole time I'm trying to heal as fast as possible, because even on the pain medication, I'm still groggy around my baby. Like, I know that he's there. I know that I love him, but I don't feel that love yet because the pain medication is so strong, and there's nothing that I want more than to feel present with my child. So once that was done and I was able to kind of get walking, I feel like then immediately I got back to work. Like, it was like I gave birth and I did take the full, FMLA. So like I think it's like 14 weeks or something, but I felt like it was like next day. And so going back to work for me hit my postpartum depression. And so that was really hard. And, or it triggered my PPD. And even though I am really blessed that I work remote, I still have to work. I'm very focused. So I still had to have family members come and watch the baby. And so I felt a lot of guilt, and I could hear my baby crying. I had a really hard time disassociating. And so being able to juggle that, I still, have to figure it out. There are some days that are harder than others. But looking back, and what I would always tell, and now I tell all of my girlfriends that they're going through their first pregnancy, and like, no matter what the journey looks like for you, remember that the end goal is a happy and healthy baby. And I promise you, no matter how anything else looks, the end result of a happy and healthy baby is worth it. It is so worth it. And I was just telling you, I am so happy. He is such a happy, bubbly baby. And I was so scared that because of everything that happened, they tell you it's going to affect the baby. Try to relax, try to stay calm. I'm like, I'm in and out of the hospital. So like, I really, that's kind of hard to tell me that. But as he grows older, he's just a ray of sunshine. And so I'm just so grateful for that. And yeah, so no matter what your journey looks like, the end result, just keep your eyes focused on that and have that be your hope, because it is coming. That baby is coming.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So you went through a lot.
Yes.
So how are you feeling now?
I feel great now. So I want to say after my baby got about 6 months, I started feeling more like myself. And I feel like I've got the rhythm of things. As a first-time mom, everything is new, and the baby does something new every single day, it feels like. So being able to get a rhythm of things, also hear advice from different women, have a lot of crying sessions with my mom, and just seeing the support of my husband day in and day out, it helped me, I believe, heal a lot faster than a lot of other women that did have PPD, or that do have PPD. And I do attribute that to the support that I had and my faith in the Lord. The Lord was so present, and the Lord was constantly showing me love through others, that it healed me in a way that I didn't even know I needed. So yeah, now are there still hard days? Of course. My son is teething. So there are some weeks that it's very difficult, but overall I can't complain, because this becoming a mother and being a parent has taught me so much about myself, and it is a blessing. It is a privilege to get to raise a child in this world. And I think a lot of people take it for granted, and I'm not going to. I want to cherish every moment that I possibly can.
Yeah, kids are absolutely amazing, right? But they're also very challenging, and you go through, first 6 months, and you think, okay, it will be easier. It gets a little bit easier, but then you see the new challenges, right? And then kids hit their terrible twos, right? And sometimes it starts at 18 months, and sometimes it goes all the way to 3 years, and sometimes it never stops, right? You definitely see them progressing into, from terrible twos to terrible kids, teenagers,
Yeah.
and so on, right? So there's a lot of parenting, right? And then there's no concrete book on parenting, right? There's a lot of resources, but then you're trying to find what something that works for you. And then also, if you have more kids, right, another child that is brought in this dynamic changes the dynamic.
Yeah. And that's what's so crazy to me, because right now I have one,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I can't imagine, because me and my sister were 15 months apart.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was 4 months old, my mom was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I can't imagine. Like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I would not be able to handle it. My mom was, and I think everyone is given what they can handle through the Lord. But now I'm like, he takes up so much of my time. How can I have another one? And I know that the time will come and I can, I will be able to adjust. But right now I'm like, this is so much. So when I see a mom that has like 4, 5, 6, I'm like, I want to talk to you because I'm struggling with just one.
I mean, I don't know if it gets easier. It's definitely more complex. But then I feel like when the third comes, it's just, I feel like you kind of know what's going on, what to do. Because I remember with the first child, when I was pregnant, I was getting all the outfits and I was preparing and I was buying all this extra stuff, not needed stuff at that time, but I was thinking that I would need it, right? Which never was used, right? Never opened. Then when the second one came, I was like, okay, at least I know what's going on. At least I know, what to expect. And then when the third one came, like, yeah, it's all good. We know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And I feel like with all three kids, so my oldest one, he just turned 13 in November. So he's a teenager. And some days I was like, I hate teenagers. I hate teenagers. He's a good kid. But oh God, he, like this morning when, he was going to school, and he knows that, we don't come to school late, but it was cutting really close. So he knows that everyone's waiting for him, and he walks really, really slow. I was like, just go. What's going on?
I know. And everyone talks about the teenage years. And, when I didn't know the gender, I, was like, I wonder, what gender the baby will be. And I wanted a girl. And obviously he's a boy, and I was awesome. That's awesome. But I have a really close relationship with my mom. So I was like, I really want that mother-daughter relationship. But when everyone found out we had a boy, they were all like, oh, that's great, because now you won't have to deal with awful girl teenage years and da. And I just feel that girls are getting a bad rap for the teenage years. And every child is different, and everyone says that. But, even through my teenage years, me and my mom were very close. And I listened to her. I appreciated her. And through every stage of my life, I have seen her as an amazing mom. And I think, did I give her attitude when I was a teenager? Probably, but I was a very respectful kid because I grew up in church and I believed in honoring your parents. And I think that there's just like unnecessary fear of having girls, because we can also have a great relationship with our mom. Like, we don't have to wait to turn 25. We can have a great relationship with our mom at 16. We can have a great relationship with our mom at 13. And are they going to get on your nerves? Yes, they will still teenagers will get on people's nerves, but we don't need to be afraid of having girls. I love girls. I hope one day I get to have a girl, but we'll see.
Well, it is what it is, right? You never know, but I guess we're given what we can handle. So I
Yes.
have 2 boys, as you know, right? And again,
Yeah.
I was promised a girl 3 times by my husband, so he can't.
Yeah.
As you know. So I was like, okay, I got it, no more. But I mean, they're awesome. And again, I'm thinking like I'm happy to have 3 boys, right? Because they all play together, and then I guess it's easier this way.
Mhm.
And I also have been told by many, many people that like you're so lucky to have boys. Yes, they are active right now, but they will be more calm and chill when they hit the teen years. And the girls are the opposite. When they're calm and sweet when they're younger, and then they become moody when they're older. And again, it depends on the child. And I worked with a lot of kids, and I definitely seen really challenging girls and really easy boys, and vice versa. So you never know.
Yeah, agreed.
So at this point, is there anything that you learned that if you have another child, you would do different, like through pregnancy, first 6 months, 9 months?
Okay, so this is kind of like telling on myself. right now, my son cannot nap unless, okay, he can. He prefers to nap in a swing
Hmm.
still. That is not good. So with my next child, I would not have a swing in the house at all, and just make my child sleep in the crib, take all her naps or his naps in the crib, just leave it at that. And I think a lot of it is because I did go back to work. So, it was hard for me to like break a habit
Hmm.
because I would have to have, days of being able to have complete focus on him. And I didn't have that. I had meetings, I had, appointments. So everyone's lifestyle is different. So that's something that I would definitely do differently, is just not have that. And I think for me also, I'm a very sensitive person, and I am doing things a little bit differently. I am, for example, I personally am a germaphobe.
Hmm.
So with my child, I was very open about, hey, there's no kissing my baby. There's no kissing his face. If you are sick, stay away. We are not going to have you come over. You're not going to hold him. These are things. And that rubbed people the wrong way,
Hmm.
believe it or not. And it got a lot of people upset. And, sometimes it hurt my feelings that people were upset at me and, told me, I'm taking it too far, or I'm being overbearing, or just whatever. And sometimes it really got to me. And now this time around, I'd be like, I do not care. I am very happy that my son he's about to be 10 months old. He has never had a cold in his first year. Praise the Lord. And that is something that I really wanted. It's like I work full time. He wakes up every 2 hours. He's woken up every 2 hours the majority of his life. So I'm like, I can't imagine waking up more because he has a cough
Hmm.
or sniffles. Like I can't, and I don't want to take my baby to the ER. So I think that, and I feel like I was that, but there were some times where I did let it get to me. And I needed to be more confident in my decisions, because I know and knew then that that was the best for my child, and that health needed to be more, and my child's health is more important than someone else's feelings to hold him. Because what's so funny is, as my child got older, less people wanted to hold him. And I'm like, okay, when he was 4 weeks old and you had the flu, you want to hold him. But now that he's almost 10 months old and you're fine, you're like, eh. Like, what is everyone's obsession with holding a newborn? Like, no matter what, it doesn't make sense to me. Um, so that has been something that I will definitely carry into. And that's what I would tell new moms now. Like, there's so much more information out there on what to do for children. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And there are things that I'm doing differently than my mom did. And she is completely on board and completely respectful of all my decisions. And I'm very lucky to have that. A lot of people don't. But now with all that information, we're going to do things differently. And the people that didn't do it that way usually are going to say, like, why are you doing it that way? I didn't do it that way. And then they almost feel offended when you explain yourself, because they're like, well, what are you saying? Are you saying that I did it wrong? No, I'm not saying you did it wrong. I'm telling you what my choice is. This is what my choice is for my family and for my child. So I just want you to respect that. So there's a lot of explaining that you might have to do. But at the end of the day, the health and safety of your child should be number one.
I love that. So let me ask you, how about you and your husband? Do you feel like you always agree on what's the right choice for your baby, or sometimes you bicker? Because I'm just thinking, like, one of the first examples, and again, like, we would not fight with my husband, right? There's like, I clearly remember when the baby, like the first one, was, I don't know, maybe like 3 months old, 4 months old, and then we were arguing about the temperature of his bottle, because he was thinking the bottles that I make are too cold, and I was thinking that they're scalding hot, and I don't want him to burn the baby. And he was thinking that his bottles are the perfect temperature, and I would keep them on the colder side just to make sure that he is not burned. So, and we were going back and forth, and I think he was saying like, and we end up to compromise on the amount of seconds we keep it in the microwave. So we found that compromise, but it took us some time.
Mm, mm.
After that, it was easier because now he knows I'm right and he just follows my lead, and that's it. It's just easier this way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think honestly, because he's so young, we had so many conversations before the baby was born and like during our pregnancy or during my pregnancy, um, about the majority of what we were going to experience, because we were very lucky. We went through like a parenting and pregnancy course where they would talk a lot about these things. And like some of our homework was to go home and actually talk about it. And that's something that I would recommend all new parents to do. I see a lot of people, and you can, if you, I am like, I'm a nervous Nelly. I need to know what I'm walking into. A lot of people can just kind of go through it, but I want to read the books. I want to watch the documentary. I want to take the class. I want to take the homework. And especially, if you want to have a natural birth, what are things that you can do to help have that be a positive experience? What are some things that decisions you can make for your child, when that child is born? So we had a lot of those conversations. And even before I got pregnant about, even our parenting style, different things. So I would say early on, I'm exclusively breastfeeding, so it's kind of that didn't necessarily happen, but I would say it was more of other people having a difference of opinion on like what we were doing, and us like sticking up for each other, if that makes sense. And then I remember, let me think. Let me see. There was a time when so when my son was starting to get his teeth in, I was thinking about, having him test like different solids and different things, but I wanted to delay it. And my husband was like, we need to start giving him food. And I was just like, he doesn't even have a tooth yet. Like, why are we rushing it? Like, everybody's just giving babies food, and that's fine. But like, I'm not ready. And so that was the conversation that we had, because he actually got his teeth in later than expected. So we were like, he's older, but I said, I really want him to have his teeth in before we start. And so eventually, I think what we did, and we did compromise. My husband's like, let's just do the allergens, and then I'll feel fine. Just do the allergens, and then we can do other foods later. I just want to make sure that he is not allergic to something. And I was like, fine, I can understand that. That makes sense. We'll do that. And then I think it was like maybe a month later, we started implementing other foods. So that was definitely a conversation.
Got it. So I'm happy for you, right, that you're able to negotiate and see eye to eye, but you're doing a great job. So let me ask you, I know you mentioned the postpartum depression. So like when you first started experiencing it, did you know right away that it was the postpartum depression, or do you feel like it was diagnosed by your provider, doctor, OBGYN, nurse practitioner? And then what did you do? What helped you the most?
Yeah, so I will say it was self-diagnosed, because during our classes, we did learn about the signs of postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. And so for me, it was like a switch went off, not on, off in my body. And I was just very numb. I was very sad. Anything really made me cry that normally would not make me cry. I didn't want to be alone with my son. I was nervous about being alone, and everything overwhelmed me with work. Like if something went wrong, I felt like I was failing immediately. And it was everything. It's like I was failing at work. I was failing as a wife. I was failing as a mom, but I wasn't. I was still completing things. I was, feeding my child. I was, being present as a wife. But it didn't matter what anyone said or what anyone showed me. That's just how I felt, and I couldn't turn it off. And the thing is, though, is that I could, in my mind, see that it was irrational, but it didn't matter. I couldn't move it out of the way. So I felt like I had a lack of self-control, and I just kind of like something else was controlling my emotions and my hormones, and there wasn't anything I could do to help that. So the first thing that the first thing that did help was I needed more family support. So more family members started stepping up to come and help during the week and just take some things off my plate. And then my husband had his work schedule changed. That was a huge help. So my husband is a physical therapist assistant. So at that time when my son was born, he was working 5 days a week. And so he switched his schedule to 4 days a week, working 10 hours. So that gave us 3 days of us being together. And that just really helped. And a lot of people don't have that as a choice. So that was a huge blessing. But then that's the thing is he's gone for 12 hours those days because he's got to drive to work. So when he is gone, I'm feeling it for sure, but it's worth it to me for that extra day.
I see. And it sounds like the biggest part is asking for help, right?
Yes.
So sometimes you just need to ask for help, and maybe you don't want to ask for help because, you've always been independent, right? And then how will it be viewed, right?
Oh, and I had so many conversations about this. That is something that once I got pregnant, it was like the independent boss babe in me just like left my body. Like I was like, I need help. I am in pain. I am uncomfortable. I need to be surrounded by people that get it. And I just was like, I don't want to go 50-50. I don't want to. I said, I just want to take care of my baby and I just want to be pampered. And that is enough. So I will say to the stay-at-home moms, what you are doing is enough. It is enough. I know it's enough. And I will be like you one day. It is on the plan. It's in the 5-year plan. It's in the 5-year plan. But yeah, I just like that independent, I don't need anybody. It was so humbling when I was like, I need somebody to help me walk to the shower. It's so humbling. And now it's like my son is crying and I don't know what to do because I burped him, I changed him, I fed him. I need to call someone because I need help. Because you don't have all the answers. And I think it's so dangerous when you feel like you have all of the answers because something new is going to happen and you're not going to solve the problem. You're going to mask it. And then that leads to even more issues. So yeah, now people like, it's so funny. People are like, oh, independent Melina. I was like, independent Melina is gone. Help me. So
well, your husband sounds amazing, right? He was there for you all the way. So say hi to him.
I will.
And but again, like I feel like for some women, it's hard to ask for help and also accept help, right? Even if the help is offered, sometimes it's really hard to accept it. So
yeah, and if they don't have people that they feel safe asking help from, that's a big thing. Is I did have people that I trusted already that I knew wouldn't judge me. I knew would be kind to me. So if you don't have that, I completely understand why you would be afraid to do it.
So we're at the time where we need to start wrapping up. But if you think of one last piece of advice, what would you give to your younger self? What would you give to other women out there?
For me, the reason why I'm able to be so joyful and peaceful now with everything I experienced is because I know the Lord. And when the going gets tough, the Lord is there. So I would just tell you to pursue the Lord. And the wisdom that he has is beyond human understanding. So if you want to be the best mom on earth, look to the best father in the universe. And that is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And so there is so much biblical wisdom in the Bible. There's so much wisdom on parenting. There's so much wisdom on how to love, on how to forgive, on how to heal. And those are things. When I held my child in my arms, I also thought, I need to get it together and I need to heal because I want this baby to experience the best version of myself. And so the only way I can do that is by following the Lord and by letting go of those toxic behaviors and being accountable to my actions and spending time with him. So through that, I can be the best mom for him and I can be there for him when it's hard and point to the one that can help him when I can't be there for him. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. And for other women out there, what would be your advice?
For other women, I'd say learn as much as you possibly can about parenting, learn as much as you can about pregnancy, learn as much as you can about marriage, and learn as much as you can about love. We think of love as a romantic thing, and it can be, but love is the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of why God created us. So understanding how to love, and it also matters if you're able to implement it. Because no matter how much you just learn and read, if you cannot implement it, it's almost dead. So you need to learn how to do all those things and then implement it into your life. And that is the toughest part, because I can tell you all day all the things that you can do. And if you don't do it, your life is going to look exactly the same. So we need to take up accountability and use our minds, use our hearts to actually make the changes and the steps that we need to be the parents that we want.
Absolutely. I love that. So you're absolutely amazing. So for our viewers, if they want to reach out, how they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Melina, Melina.m.thomas. And you can also email me at info.melinathomas@gmail.com. That's where you can reach out and we can chat. My Instagram, I create Christian content on there. So you'll see different things like family life, biblical conversations, modest fashion. It's a little bit of everything for the young mom, for the young woman that is really just trying to grow in Christ. So I would love it and appreciate it if you checked it out.
Well, thank you. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you for being here with us. And thank you for watching us. And we will see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you and have a great night.